Join me as I transform my messy fall garden into nice and tidy spaces, all ready for spring. A well-executed fall cleanup saves a lot of time and effort in the spring. While some gardeners are able to leave their perennials up through the winter, knowing that all the pests and diseases will get frozen, that's not possible in my garden. And if I don't get things cleaned up, I'm most likely harboring pests and diseases, only to come back tenfold the following spring. Hi there, welcome to the Gardens and Graveyard channel. My name's Charisma, and today we're going to ease into winter a little more in our fall garden, and we're going to cut back perennials, clean out raised beds, and possibly even get some transplanting done. I've been really enjoying just taking it real slow and not succumbing to the hustle of doing a huge fall cleanup all at once. I've just been slowly cutting things back as they decline and working with the sun, because we have so much rain here on the Oregon coast that sometimes I can only get out here for a short period of time, and that's where we're at today. So my hope is that we get to cut back a lot of our perennials, get our raised beds cleared out, and then or most of them cleared out. And then if we have some extra time, we'll transplant some of the perennials that aren't going to live in this garden, but they will live in other garden rooms. So we'll just get them moved if we can. So I hope you enjoy this. Grab a cup of coffee, a steaming mug of tea, and sit back, relax, and enjoy putting the garden to sleep with me. Oh, thank you.
I'll use these in flower arrangements. I never thought to cut them so tall. All right, let's take a little break and talk about leaf litter. So I just raked up a bunch of leaves that were fallen from my maple tree, and it is not even half of what will come down. There will be so much more leaf litter. So I have to stay on top of it regularly, or it just gets really hard to rake or blow that area. I typically leave all the leaves right below it in the beds until it's all done. But in the pathway, we like to keep those clear so that we can walk on the pathway now mostly without slipping, right? Because leaves can get very moldy and slimy, and they're a tripping hazard or a slipping hazard. So we want to keep our walkways clear. And in the past, we had dogs, and I definitely wanted to know where they had gone to the bathroom and not step in, what looked like an innocent pile of leaves. So we always try to keep the areas where the dogs were and any of our walking paths clear of leaves. Now, the raised beds that we allow the leaves to fall all the way through
the end of all the defoliating. And then we come through and clear it out. Yes, we clean out our leaf debris. Here's my 2 cents on that. One, always do what makes you feel good. Period. End of story. There really isn't anything else to say. But I'll explain myself. In my climate, I live on the Oregon coast in a 9A zone, and we are very rainy. We do not dry out. What happens to our leaf litter is it just becomes this big, thick mat that smothers anything underneath it, which sounds good for a mulch standpoint, but it's terrible when you have perennials that you want to come up in the spring. It's also a slug magnet. The slugs lay all their eggs in that leaf mold and that leaf blanket, and then we have an even bigger surplus of slugs in the spring. I deal with enough slugs. I don't need any more slugs. Thank you very much. So I clear it out of there. It also can harbor over any diseases or fungal issues that you had or pests that you had the previous season. Could be sitting in that leaf litter and hibernating and incubating and growing just to spring up threefold the next spring. Not something that I want to encourage. Now, there are benefits to leaving some leaves in the garden. And I live on 3/4 of an acre. The entire perimeter of our garden is wild. There is so much leaf litter. There is so much debris. There are so many pine needles that there is many, 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 many places where the beneficials can breed and do their thing. So, my 2 cents on leaving leaf litter in your garden. If I lived in a postage stamp garden, which my last house in Portland was a little bit bigger than a postage stamp, but we lived in, a suburban area where it's just like normal size front yards, backyards. And if I lived in a place like that where things needed to look a lot more tidy, a lot more maintained, there wasn't a lot of wild areas that were naturally allowing beneficials to procreate, I would probably just leave like a little corner in the back, fence line with a small pile of leaves. Or maybe I would leave a small bit of leaves up against the foundation of my house where there weren't any vents. Because the other thing that happens with leaves is mice like to nest inside them. And if you have them right up against your house, you're going to end up with mice in your house. You don't want that either. So if you have little areas where you could just leave small drifts and that makes you feel good to leave a little bit of leaf litter in your garden for beneficials, go for it. I just don't want it all in my garden everywhere. I know that I have places that they're living, that the beneficials have a place to be. So I just wanted to plug that in there because it's a big conversation that everybody seems to have a lot of controversial ideas about during the spring and the fall. And I just wanted to address how I deal with leaf litter. And it's my personal preference. You do you. Well, I don't normally have to cut back my butterfly bush until spring, but I usually do like a half prune right after it's done blooming. And then this year in the storm, it got splayed out. So I'm just kind of cutting off the branches that look like they might break if they keep getting heavier and heavier. So that's what I'm doing here. I think that's pretty good. Okay, now that we've done some cleanup, I had some perennials in the main backyard that I want to move out of that garden and into other spaces. One of those is a snapdragon. And for me, snapdragons are a temperennial, meaning most winters they survive and bloom beautifully, even more beautifully the second year. So I wanted all my white ones that I have planted all over the garden to get transplanted over into the moon garden, which is where we're at right now. This is a new raised bed that we built last spring, and it had black and white flowers in it this last year. Next year, my theme for the moon garden is green and white, so just green or white blooms. So these snapdragons I grew from seed, and I put a little tag around them when they bloomed, so I knew that they were white. The tags do not need to stay on there, but I do want to put them. Wait, let's see, that one has a yellow center. Maybe I don't want this one. This one has a yellow center. We just want the pure white ones in this garden. They get tall, so I'm going to put them in the back. And I have some plant tone to just give it a little oomph. There are some black print snapdragons in here that I will be moving out of this garden and into a different garden, just not today. And then because it's going into winter and I want them to focus on growing their roots, I'm going to cut these all the way down to their lowest leaf node, like that. And then I'm just going to put another one on the other side. I think there's 2 more white ones in the front yard that I'll move out here, but not today. we will move this one into the front yard because I thought that was a really pretty one it's white with a yellow throat. Really pretty. It just doesn't belong in the moon garden this year or this coming year. This just says white, so that's good. Okay. Let's move into the next one. All right, I got everything done that I set out to do for the day. We got some raised beds cleared out. We got some leaves raked. We've trimmed our grass in the backyard. We got some perennials transplanted. It feels really good. So let me just kind of give you an overview of how things look right now, and then we will say our goodbyes. So now these first 3 beds in front of the greenhouse are totally cleared out. We will probably replace the soil in the big pots because this one especially had a bunch of mushrooms growing in it, and I don't want to deal with that next year. We'll be growing vegetables in all of these next year. They all need more soil anyway, so we could just put that old soil in the compost and let it break down a little bit more and put some fresh clean soil in there for our plants next year. This direction, I just did some deadheading on the cannas because there's still a lot of bloom potential. I don't know if they're actually going to open or not now that it's cooled down quite a bit. We did clean up those 2 beds and the butterfly bush. I also did a little trimming on this pittosporum, and I cut back the snapdragons on this side, and these ones are gonna maybe bloom also, so I just left them alone. We also got this bed completely cleared out. All those crazy impatiens are all done for the season, and we left the hostas, which are dormant now, and then also cleared out the super bells from those containers, and then we did a little trimming on those pots as well. Spencer got the lawn mowed and the creeping Jenny kind of corralled back in her space. I trimmed off the flowers off of this geranium and cut back our Indian feathers and the cosmos. And then in this moon garden, we cut back snapdragons, we transplanted snapdragons, and really that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed just seeing the cadence of a slow morning, cutting some things back. It's not a big hurry. We don't have to do every last bit of it, but it accumulates after time. You don't have to do all of it at once, and that means you don't have to do so much all at once, which is kind of nice. I'm certainly appreciating it as I get older to not try to do everything all at once. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're celebrating your life, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.